everyone, and welcome to this video, Some Frontier video. My name is Jay Wakefield. Now, in this video, you might have noticed that the old Video Some Frontier theme tune has made a comeback. But you will also notice that the new visual sequence has actually remained the same. There's a good reason for that. I've been chatting to my friends Matthew H12 and Road Geek, and they actually told me that they preferred the old theme tune to the new one, but they liked the new starting sequence with the videos. So I've decided to keep that. I've decided to keep the new starting sequence, but use the old theme tune again, because I do like to do things that make my viewers happy. You know, I mean, like I keep on saying, I don't keep on saying, but should be said more often. I do, really, really appreciate I really do appreciate my viewers actually watching this channel. Okay, now on with the main subject of the video itself. Road Geek, aka Billy Corr, who is a good friend of mine, recently was sold an IBM ThinkPad T23 from a mutual friend of ours, Elmo3. And at the same time he was doing that, I was actually thinking about buying my own ThinkPad T23. You may remember my ThinkPad T21 died not so long since, but the ThinkPad T23 was not meant as a replacement to the 21. However, Billy and I, we kind of had our ThinkPads, we kind of paid for our ThinkPads at the same time, because his actually arrived first. Elmo3 basically stepped on it, as soon as Billy sent him the money. I mean, he sent that ThinkPad so fast, that by the time Billy got it, Elmo3 was, Luke was actually still away to the post office with it. Nah, I'm only kidding on. But seriously, I mean, I'd like to thank you on behalf of Billy getting that laptop, Elmo3, because we know that he's going to do some awesome videos with it, just as you did. Anyway, my ThinkPad arrived, well, I want to say this morning, but it's actually yesterday morning, as the date today is currently Saturday, March the 23rd, and the time is 19 minutes past 2 in the morning. So like I said, I got my ThinkPad this morning. Billy's already done his video on his, so after this video you should mosey on over to his channel and watch it. But this is my video of my ThinkPad. Now, my ThinkPad is actually quite special in a way. Well, it's kind of special to me. Not only because it's my laptop, but also because it was built in my homeland, Scotland. And this week the date for Scottish independence was actually announced. So there's actually been a lot of talk. There's actually been a lot of talk about Scottish independence. And of course the vote is going to be held on the 18th of September 2014. However, a lot of people have been, arguing as to whether it's a good thing for Scotland to actually leave the Union. And there's pretty strong cases from both sides, and I must say, there are good and bad sides to both, Now, I would say that if Scotland were to go independent, then what they need to be doing is making actual long-term plans. And even if it doesn't work out, you know, even if they don't get a referendum, even if they don't vote, I mean, the referendum's not even a vote to say, oh yeah, this many people voted, we're going to go independent. It's still going to have to go through, you know, Parliament, and, you know, the Queen is going to have to kind of grant, you know, Scotland devolved powers, you know, it's... But all that aside, if Scotland wants to become independent, we need to think about how we're going to make money. Because, luckily, I mean, we are quite a liberal nation, and the government do heavily kind of subsidise, you know, things that, you know, ought to be kind of subsidised. It's like, you know, we enjoy things like free prescription, free tuition, and, you know, free bus travel for people with disabilities, free, and, you know, just, there's quite a lot that, you know, of benefits that we get. Now, if we were to become independent, would we be able to continue to afford to give out these benefits? Unfortunately, in the current state, I would say not. Now, we need to find ways of making money. And it would seem that the best ways of making money are to go into the primary and secondary industries. One of the best ways of making money is to export things. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to sell this machine to someone, you know, in a different country, because that, you know, just wouldn't, the money that I would get from this wouldn't really add much to the economy. What I'm meaning is this ThinkPad was actually designed in Scotland. Now, yes, I know what you're about to say. IBM are an American corporation, which indeed they are, well spotted. However, they had, I don't know if they still do or not, but they had a manufacturing plant in Greenock in Scotland. And that's where a lot of IBM things were made. I think it was V Westlife, although stop me if I'm wrong, but I think it was V Westlife who bagged a Model M keyboard, American layout, and it said made in the UK on the back. You know, made in the UK would mean made in Scotland, because that's where IBM had the plant. And, you know, this wasn't a keyboard made for the UK market. It was an American company having a Scottish facility manufacture something that would then be going back to America. So, what I'm trying to say here is, if we could do it before, then we certainly could manufacture stuff again. Now, this machine does have, I mean, I've got this machine, and, you know, I mean, I do see this machine as holding some answers on how to go if Scotland wants to become independent. I know it's a really old machine, but please bear with me, because, you know, like I said, IBM ThinkPads generally are very good quality. They have been known to be very good quality. Some of the later ones, yeah, they did have some problems, but generally speaking, if you wanted a laptop that was rugged and dependable, a lot of people will tell you that what you wanted was an IBM ThinkPad. And this was back in the 90s and 2000s, when it was all still owned by IBM. Even to this day, I mean, people still buy Lenovo ThinkPads, but as UXW Bill pointed out in his videos, you can get one with a light up dot over the I of Think, which is all very nice and what have you. But for me, I kind of like IBM's model. Like I said, this computer holds a few answers. It kind of holds, a few answers on where Scotland need to go to have a successful move to independence, if this is what Scotland wants. So let's have a look at this now. Let's see what this laptop could actually offer in a way of independence. Let's see what answers it has to impart to us. it's just kind of starting up. Plug it in actually because the battery was a bit dead. Never mind. Oh no! Oh dear. Even more. Oh no! Now, you see, what has happened here is quite clearly I need to run Windows Update on this laptop because it's obviously it's obviously not been updated. The UK government have literally told us that we can't have Devolution Max. So, yeah, that didn't necessarily go so well. So just bear with me a minute. I'll run Windows Update. Okay, so let me show you what this laptop has in the chassis. So, first off, we'll start on the left. On the left-hand side, we have a vent, two PC MCIA Type 2 card slots, or one Type 3, headphone out, line in, and microphone, and behind that piece of trim that surrounds the ports, the audio ports, is the hard disk caddy. Now, the hard disk that originally came with this machine, believe it or not, was a 100GB hard disk. Although it obviously registered in Windows as 93 gig, but seriously. Now, unfortunately, I have taken this out and replaced it with a humble 40 gig. But that's because, you know, I mean, I could see more use for the 93GB hard disk in a more modern machine. So, that's what I've done. On the front edge of the machine, you'd think there's nothing at all, but there are a couple of things. There is this wee cover here that kind of looks a wee bit tatty. Now, well, you've also got the screen catches as well. You've got left and right. But if I pull this wee cover off, I reveal to you this. Now, you're probably wondering, Jamie, what is that? This is a USB 1.1 compatible IBM Ultra port. Now, unfortunately, because it doesn't look anything like USB, I mean, obviously, you can't just plug a regular USB device into it. However, a lot of Ultra Bay devices did come with actual USB adapters, so you could just kind of plug it in, which was kind of nice, to a standard USB port. But this was IBM's answer to, you know, the proliferation of a lot of laptops actually coming with things like, you know, web cameras, you know, kind of built in. So that must have actually been quite common then. But like I was saying, I mean, this was around on machines from 2000 to 2002. You know, so it's not too. It was you know, pretty good for the time actually. But you could actually get devices such as speakers, webcams, things like that. I mean, I did hear about Bluetooth being available, but I'm not entirely sure. I believe it was LML3 who talked about that in one of his videos. Now, on the right-hand side, there is a hot swappable drive bay, and in it is a DVD-ROM CDRW combination drive. When I got this machine, I thought this drive was broken because it wouldn't read from a Windows 2000 disk. So I got the DVD-ROM drive, which I'd kept from the dead ThinkPad T23. That was also that would also not read my Windows 2000 disk. So I just kind of cleaned it and it read it straight away. However, I've now put this drive back in, the CDRW drive. I've used a laser lens cleaner on it, and it seems to be working fine. So hooray to that. And then here is the release mechanism. So to kind of release the drive, you just kind of pull on this tab. Another tab would come out, and then you kind of pull on that tab. And then the DVD-ROM drive, the optical drive comes sliding out. I do have a floppy disk drive bay. No, I do actually have a floppy disk drive for this bay. So that's quite good. On the rear of the machine, you'll find a Kensington lock slot, S-Video out, RS-232 serial, parallel printer port, VGA port, Ethernet, modem, power supply, 2 USB ports, and a PS2 mouse and keyboard port. So that's kind of what it looks like there. And then if you look underneath the machine, you'll find a docking station port, which is also quite nice. The lid of this machine does look like it's seen some service. But if it starts to get... I mean, it's not too sticky at the moment. But like LML3 has shown, if it does start getting a bit sticky, it can be rejuvenated using talcum powder. If it starts getting gooey, it's gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this machine back in and switch it back on. The battery was feeling quite low, so the original battery out of this machine, it says replacement battery on it, but it was dead. However, I did have the battery from the ThinkPad T23 that I salvaged, so that's what I'm using. So let's power it on. Now unfortunately I'm not able to show you the original install because I've actually done away with that. Oh, and the screen will appear kind of red when it first starts up, but that usually goes away. It originally came installed with Windows XP. Wasn't too bad actually. It's a 1GHz Pentium 3 processor backed up by 384 megs of RAM, an S3 Super Savage graphics card. I actually used to know a family of people called Savage. And if I was still in contact with them, I'd be, probably on the internet now going, hee, this laptop's called the Super Savage. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about the S3 cards because I have heard kind of bad things about them. But, I mean, Elmo's had his ThinkPad T23 for quite some time and, it's never caused him any problems, and now Billy's got it and, that should be quite good. But it's also, like I said, I put a 40 gig hard disk drive in it because I just felt it would be more... I just felt it would be better for this machine to have a 40 gig hard disk. It's got crystal audio sound. Oh yeah! And Windows 2000 Professional. Because there's a whole slew of people saying that Windows 2000 should be used instead of XP or even 7. And definitely Vista. Seems to be quite a contentious issue at the moment, as Windows 2000. I don't know why it's become that way, but yep. So what I've done here is I've used the registry. I've edited the registry so that the default user profile has a background and a large mouse pointer. sign in. Alright, so let me introduce you to the desktop. Access IBM. There's a lot of software that came on the ThinkPad. But unfortunately, I still can't get my ThinkPad button to work. Probably a driver issue. I love how these ThinkPads, the new ones, have on-screen displays and things like that. My Earth 51 had something quite similar. And then we've got, obviously, accessories. There's Nero Burning ROM and Power DVD for burning CDs and watching DVD movies. PaintShop Pro 7 to get screenshots. I've installed Midtown Madness on here. We'll have a look at that. I've not played it on here, but we'll test out the graphics card. It's got 16 megs of video RAM. And Office 2000. I did install Roll Cage, but while I got to the main menu screen and everything, when it was time to load the race, instead of loading the race, it just spat me back out at the desktop. Now, before I do any of all this, oh yeah, and there's Nero Media Player and Office 2000. Now, if you've seen my last video, you saw that I was exploring the accessibility options available to users of Windows 95 and 98. Well, I'd actually now like to show you what Windows 2000 can bring to the party. Because as soon as I put up my video, Billy was like, yeah, that's fine, Jay, but you should have done it on Windows 2000! Kind of in relation to all these useless people. Anyway, Windows 2000 has largely the same feature set as Windows 95 and 98. However, it now comes with a utility manager, which manages all your accessibility utilities.
Push button. Narrator is running.
Shut up. And you can set things to start automatically when Windows starts, or start automatically when the utility manager starts. But Windows 2000, not only did it have this utility manager, along with the accessibility options control panel, and the accessibility wizard, and the Windows magnifier, you also had Narrator. Oh yes, Narrator. The thing that a lot of people just used to use the voice so it would say things, and you know, you could get Microsoft Sam to go, my Rufflecopter goes squash, 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 squash. Windows 2000 was the first version of Windows to include the narrator, and I thought that was brilliant.
Foreground window. Okay, push button to press. Use spacebar. Microsoft Narrator. Foreground window.
Very rudimentary.
New Office document. Menu item.
Do you want a biscuit?
Open Office document. Menu item.
Do you want a biscuit?
Subprogram access and defaults. Menu item. Windows update. Menu item. Programs. Menu item. Pop-up start. Access. Pop-up start. Foreground window. Document. WordPad. Editable text. Standard. Foreground. Space. Shift. R. O. F. L. C. D. E. R. Space G. O. E. S. Space S. O. 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 I. Enter. My Rufflecopter goes swah, 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 swah.
Excellent. You know. I love it. It actually does sound like the blades of a chopper.
Close. Foreground window.
But Narrator, unfortunately, the early versions that came with Windows 2000 and XP were not really that good. Sure, it could be made better with different voices. Microsoft Sam was probably is one of the worst synthesized voices that I've heard. And, you know, believe me, I mean, I've heard quite a lot. Like I was saying the other night, I remember, you know, using a BBC Micro with a synthesized voice unit hooked up to it. And of course, you know, watching as many retro computer videos as I have on YouTube, I've obviously been able to hear the legendary Mattel no, it isn't. It is Mattel. The Intellivision with the Mattel Electronics presents B-17 Bomber and Bomb Squad. But Microsoft Sam and Microsoft Narrator kind of became a gimmick. In Windows 7, things started to pick up. I think now in Windows 8, I've not really played much with Narrator, but I'm wondering if Microsoft are wanting it to be, well, an actual solution, you know, a competitor to JAWS, the same way as VoiceOver is on Mac OS X, because Microsoft entering into the tablet market, you know, you have the iPad with VoiceOver, that is what Microsoft have got to compete against. Another thing that found its way into accessibility settings, and I'm not entirely I'm questioning its legitimacy as an actual accessibility program, but that doesn't mean to say it doesn't still have its uses, is this. This is the on-screen keyboard. Now, with the Windows 2000 Service Pack 4, the on-screen keyboard seems to get Windows XP keys on it. Have you seen that? And the original version of on-screen keyboard did get regular, you know, kind of Windows-looking keys on it. But what this basically does is it, you know, kind of emulates the input from a keyboard. So, you know, I can press the Windows key. Although it doesn't always work that well. But let's go into Word now. Yeah, I can type something. I'm not going to type a message, but I'll just kind of, you know, put some, you know, letters in just to kind of show you how it works. Ah, yes, clip it. Whoops. Okay, that didn't work. And I love it when you press Shift how all the letters change to capitals. That's quite neat. Now, one might argue that this is perfect for people... Fit Ike. One might argue that this is perfect for people who, you know, have limited motor neuron skills and, you know, find a touchscreen easier to use. And actually, that can happen. Even I thought, I was like, you know, how can you use a touchscreen in place of a regular keyboard? But for some people, it works. But not for everyone. This is not an excuse for all the tablet manufacturers to go, no, we're just not even going to bother with the keyboard at all. Because that would just be poor. But in any case, the on-screen keyboard's keys are too small, and even Microsoft themselves, when it was time to release Windows XP Tablet PC Edition, they actually included a keyboard with much larger keys. And of course now we have Windows 8, which uses exactly the same keyboard as Windows Phone 7, only kind of larger. So, again, you know, Microsoft have kind of learned a thing or two. But yeah, so that was the accessibility tools in Windows 2000. Not the best, but it was certainly a step in the right direction. And to be honest, we could sit all day and talk about how bad they were. But I like to think of it as Microsoft taking a step, you know? You can't go from zero to hero. Nobody can. So, Microsoft wouldn't be where they are today, and I think they have come a long way with accessibility tools, had it not been for these kind of awkward, you know, early assistive technology programs. Okay, so I've shown you Microsoft Word and what have you. Now, let me show you a wee game. Like I said, I tried Roll Cage. I've not had a chance to try Midtown Madness yet, but I'm gonna switch the light off for this one. So it'll be a lot easier for me to play without it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit the play button. Oh, Crevens, no, I don't want full volume. Loading, please wait while the Midtown Madness CD is verified. Click OK to have Windows Midtown Madness detect the presence of a hardware accelerator card. This drive sounds odd when it's reading. It almost sounds like it's beeping. Unless it's a Sims, I generally am not too keen on in-game music, so I'm going to put kibosh on that. And I've got to say, the ThinkPad, it's never been the best. Are you sure you want to restore the... No. It's not really ever been the best for scaling. Last night I was talking about how good the Compaq Armada E500 was. Well, not E500, the 1750 was for scaling the screen. Well, ThinkPads, they really aren't that good. And ultimately, that is kind of what lets them down as a gaming machine because, you know, with only 16 megs of graphics on board, you can't expect it to be able to run games at 1024 by 768.
Hey, a friendly word of advice.
Oh, Crevens, I've forgotten the controls. Let me just, oh yeah, that's right, I need to reset the keyboard, the controls for keyboard, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart the race.
It's high noon in the Windy City. Get ready to head downtown for a showdown.
Oh, and this is running much better than it did on the, this is running much better than it did on the high-grade Notino. And I've got to be honest, in a game, I mean, I was saying that, you know, this machine fails as a gaming machine, but in a game like this, it really does not matter about, you know, the screen not being able to upscale lower resolutions that well. Do you know what? This is absolutely fine. I mean, I'm pretty sure that on games like Theme Park, where you actually need more detail, it is going to cause more problems. But do you know what? I'm just going to cut across here. Laters. Oh dear, that went well. Come on! I'm second place. I can do this.
Come on, now get to the finish line, pal.
Hey. Come on. Oh well, I actually made it to the finish line.
But no cigar, pal. We've all been down that road before, huh?
Oh, shut up. Oh, that's nice. It just kind of put me back to the desktop. Why did it do that? So, actually a lot better than I was actually thinking it would be. So I probably shouldn't doubt these things in future. But, I mean, primarily ThinkPads were always made as business laptops, which is probably why you've never really seen them with ATI or NVIDIA in. But I will say one thing, I mean, while it's not burning to the touch, but while I've had this game on, the fans have started to come up, and it is quite warm. It's warm enough that if it was really cold in the living room, you could kind of put your hand kind of close to the fan and you know, enjoy some of the heat coming off of it. But it's not actually so warm as to be like, I can't touch this. But, you know, you probably do want to be careful. I mean, this is only a really compact, you know, wee case. The fact that they've got all this lot in something that thin in the 2000s. I mean, yes, you could buy thinner, but I mean, this... You've got to understand it. This is actually, you know, for back in the day, this is quite a powerful computer. This is a 1.0 gigahertz Pentium 3. And, you know, it is a really good machine. It's a fantastic competitor to the Dell Latitude C610, sorry. So which one do I prefer? Now, I don't know why I just asked myself that, because that is an awful question. Obviously, you know, obviously for my country's sake, I'm supposed to take home the porridge-powered ThinkPad. But if country no object, which one would I prefer? I feel that the Dell Latitude C-Series machines were less prone to some component failures, and the screen the screen on the Dell Latitude C610 is much, much better at being able to upscale. As in, run, you know, panel fit at a low resolution to a TFT display. I mean, TFT displays, for those of you who don't know, they do work differently to CRTs. CRTs can pretty much draw, you know, any resolution they want, given, you know, within reason. So, you know, they'll have an upper limit, you know, and you can't go past the upper limit, you know, so it's like, I had, you know, the monitor that I had with my 2001 custom built, it was an old monitor. You could not take it past 1024 by 768. If you did, you would have graphics problems. You know, the display just would not display. And to be honest, if you would, with my vision, displaying 1280 by 1024 on a 14-inch monitor was just, well, it wasn't on the cards. Even, you know, 1024 was a bit much for me. You know, 800 by 600 was fine. But TFT monitors, the way that they are made, I mean, they have a native resolution. And, you know, things will not be as clear out with that resolution. They have a certain predefined number of pixels, like this is 1024 by 768. Now, to be able to allow lower resolutions to work, because obviously they do, more pixels have to be used. It has to, you know, because the pixels are larger, it has to probably use 4 pixels for every 1 pixel. For, you know, and that's just an example. So, naturally, things will become a bit blotchy. It is exactly like you taking a low-resolution photograph and then resizing it to a high resolution. Things start to become a wee bit blotchy. Newer monitors, you basically can't tell about the upscaling that's in effect. Older monitors would be a wee bit blurry, but still very readable. This monitor, it goes for the blocky approach. And, you know, I mean, it's not the worst that I've seen, but it's certainly not the best one that I have seen. And this was, you know, running in, you know, Windows 2000 setup. Obviously, that could be solved by not having panel fit enabled. So basically, anything that was at a low resolution would be, you know, basically a box in the middle of the screen. So it would still be displaying at its native resolution, as it were. However, that's just not practical for anybody. So, obviously I always have panel fit enabled, so it will stretch smaller screens to fit this one. Having said all that, I do like this machine. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of people did like ThinkPads. You know, and it did offer a bit of something special. Okay, the later ThinkPads that came around, you know, in the 2000s, they did have some issues, but by and large, ThinkPads were extremely reliable. And they were also very tough as well. I mean, someone actually said to me, oh well, you know, if you had a ThinkPad, you could just throw it around. I'm not going to try that. Because this machine is, you know, because of this machine's age and because I like to treat computers with respect. But this has been a wee look at the ThinkPad T23. You know, I'm really glad I've got it. Billy has promised another video on it. Once he's got his set up, he's using his as a Windows 98 machine. However, I'm not doing that. I just wanted to quickly show you this ThinkPad on the internet. There we go. So I mean, this machine can still go online with the rest of them, although the scroll button just doesn't seem to be working too well. That's what this is. And if you click it enough times, you might get a nice wee ThinkPad tool that will offer you scrolling tips. So, yeah, that's exactly what this button does, to answer Billy's question. And the reason it's not scrolling is because it's not scrolling anyway, so let's try it now. Oh, do you know what? Be like that. I wasn't going to do it, I was going to be nice. But now that you've shown me up, I'm actually going to make you try and play a YouTube video. And I'm going to make you play one about one of your own kind. From fellow IBM computer fan UXW Bell. We're going to watch one about the IBM PS2 server. Whatever it is. If I can find the blooming mouse pointer, I will. There we go. Now, while this machine could be used to access the internet, do it to access things like email and, you know, a pinch Facebook. I'm going to show you now why YouTube on a Pentium 3 1GHz with 16 megs of video RAM from basically a non-graphics card is not the way to go. But before I do that, I'll need to have Windows tell me that it can't download Adobe Flash. Yeah, like I said. Now, this probably would play. I just need a Windows 2000 compatible version of the Flash player. And, you know, one of those would be quite easy to obtain. But since it's the end of the video, and since I'm getting a wee bit tired and that, I'm just going to kind of end it here. So thank you for watching this video, like I said, and you know, please feel free to go and peruse my channel, and I hope you'll all join me for my next one. Thank you for watching.